Hello, good evening and welcome. Good evening, Mick. Good evening, Ian. And whoever else joins in, there's a third one in. Not a clue who that is. But good evening to y'alls. Hi, Mick. And it's Valleys. Good day, Valleys. Good to have you on. Oh, I'm off on my annual leave now, so I'm gonna have to get some vids done for my channels. I've not done any for ages. I've just not had the will with work and stuff. It's just been really hard lately with one thing and another. It's weird, but half the time I feel like I'm the one in a foreign land, working with people that can't talk a word of English. But not, I wouldn't advise anybody going out service nowadays. You're constantly banging your head on a brick wall. But anyway, what's everybody been up to? I've been up to diddly squat, if I'm honest. Well, I say diddly squat. Sorry, I'll move that up. Ugh. Well, I say diddly squat. I've been move it that way as well. At least be comfortable a bit. Hang on, wrong way. Wrong way, isn't it, spoil? Try that. That's better. Yeah, I think I had the lurk for a bit, Valleys. I weren't feeling good yesterday, and it pissed me off. It took me all day. My monitor broke down, and I've had to replace it. I've got a mega big one now. I've changed over to HDMI cables. But messing about yesterday, finding somewhere that had a decent monitor I fancy, then discovering it wouldn't work on the old system of plugs. So I got the old plug to the ADG or whatever it is. That didn't work. So then I went out and got it HDMI to HDMI, and that got it up and running. My sound's a lot better, so because it runs through a different system now. My picture's better and happy days, but what a pain in the ass. I didn't need it. Yeah, Ian's sending me out a care package, shall we say. I'll put it on video when it arrives. I've still got to do one for, what's his name, Tony, because he sent me out a few cars, a few die casts. Where are they? Now they've gone hiding at the moment. I got a Lone Star Chevrolet Corvair, I think they were. And it's a fire chief version. So I want a fire chief decal, and I'll be restoring that. He sent me a Corgi carrier flatbed, and he sent me 2 Mustangs. One I'm only using for bits because its body's broke. But yeah. They're a dirty lot of buggers, model railway people, though. They give you everything. I would probably there. I'd probably pass it on. From dirty women, I know, and stuff. Anyway. Oh, I look beautiful. Are you pissed? Have you been on piss, Mick? Bloody hell. It's getting romantic. Blind drunk. No, you don't drink, Mick. I might go and get a tin. It'd be rude not to while I'm off work. I don't go back now till God. Hang on. I don't go back till the 11th of December, I think it is. A good long rest. I've needed it. Constantly working with assholes and people I don't understand what they're trying to fricking say. Huh? Oh, you little rascal, have you made it hard to open, Ian? Have you made sure it's secure? I sold a model diorama I built the other day on eBay, and I packaged that up Saturday morning and sent it out. I used black tack to hold the diorama base onto the bottom of the box, packed it out. I wrapped the model round and round in bubble wrap, so it's like a bloody ball like that, and then put that into it, squeezed in the corner near the diorama. So it's well padded up and well packed. I'm just hoping it gets to him without anything breaking off. Well done, Ian. Oh, excellent, valleys. Now beats a bit of whiskey and ginger ale. He's not had it for a bit, but our local butcher, he gets stuff off all the local farmers. And one guy makes his own ginger ale, one of the farms, and oh, it's beautiful, proper spicy, lovely warm feeling off it. Absolutely gorgeous it is. But he's not getting any lately. I'm wondering if it's seasonal or I don't know. I'm missing having it anyway. It was beautiful drink. Sells a big bottle of it like that. I'm like Ozzy fucking Osbourne nowadays. Sharon! Sharon! The dog's shit in the kitchen, Sharon! uh, uh, yeah, it probably will be, Ian. Should be amusing. Let's have a look. I had it the other day. Oh, I'll do it again. I'll probably put it in video. Because I've still not thanked you on one of my videos for them posters, etc. Ian. I was reading the comic the other day to keep myself entertained. I was reading the Crested Polar Bear comic. It's frothy, man. Let's give some to the penguins at this gig. Multicoloured penguins, just the eyes peeping out of the froth. And it's frothy, man. Good evening, Lukey boy. How we doing? Good to see you, Longcock. Hey, I just watched that. Oh, bloody hell. Auto Union video you did. You did a beautiful. I'm not a fan of the custom job on that particular car, but it was a pretty cool paint job for a custom. Just weren't a fan of it on that particular car. Because I love Auto Unions, and I like to have seen that in just plain silver with like red racing numbers, like they used to do. They look really gorgeous, Auto Union racing cars. I'm a big fan of them. They were beautiful. Yeah, I reckon it'd look good, that paint idea, on an hot rod or something. If you got one of the Matchbox hot rod. I'm planning to do that one, Luke. They do it in two types. They do the fire engine one, which there were a couple of the fire engine bits, and I've stripped them off. I'm going to make my own decking for the back, but I'm going to do a show rod out of it. The other one was nice. It was two-tone metallic green, and it was called Hot Tea or something. Yeah, I like that Auto Union casting. It's very. I like Art Deco stuff in it. That Auto Union is a very Art Deco design. It looks really good. I love Art Deco stuff. Like my lad, the steam trains, the air forwards and stuff. If you look at them, they're like an Art Deco design. Beautiful. The streamliners. In an age where stuff were designed and built, and like some of the shit now, it's all the same because the computer's designing it. If you throw the same problem to the same software from the same company, it's going to come up with the same results, give or take bits of differences. Yeah, I'm a fan of that one, the Matchbox. I like some of the Matchbox hot rods. You know, it's that long since I looked into. I'm going to have to get in my back room while I'm on holiday and give it a good tidy and get me boxes arranged. Because I thought, the other week, I thought, I'd fancy one of them. I'd fancy that. I'd fancy that. And I've been looking through my corgi collection and I had them all. Because I looked at that one Martin did the other day. You know, the army canteen. He did. And I thought, oh, I fancy that one, but in the Mr. Softy ice cream van flavour. I already had it. I'm trying to think of that one now. I'll have a look. Valleys. I'm on Google Images already. Bloody hell. Yeah, have a look for that one. I think I get the one. 1937 REO speed tanker. That's nice, that'd be cool. That would be cool, that. Yeah, that would be dead cool, that. Beautiful design. Yeah, so what's your plans for this week, Luke? What casting are you up to this week? Oh, beautiful, Ian. You'll have to show me that. That sounds absolutely awesome. Hang on. Funny you should mention that, because, oh no, it's not a 220, the one I have here. That's one I've got planned coming up. One of them. My mate has a V8 one, he fully restored himself. I've been in it, it turns heads round. Not as much as his E-type Jags do, but it does turn heads. I don't know whether he still has both the E-type Jags. I know he won't part with his blue one, but I think the green E-type coupe is up for sale in British Racing Green. I know he's selling that one. He's holding out for right offer. He doesn't have to rush. You know, he just went out and bought an absolutely mint Mark 1 RS 2000 and paid cash. I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous at all. It's in Hasbro colours though. Jeez, it's in bright yellow with bright orange panels on it. Whoa. rapes your retinas. Yeah, it is. It's they're a Bobby Ewing one. My mate's is a drop top. Or I don't know, it may be an hard toppy, but the roof would drop down when I went in it with him. It was with the E-Type as well. His E-Type's a Series 1 dropper. Fully restored it himself from a Yank import. Converted it back to right-hand drive. Really pretty car. And I've been in it with him, and he drives it like he stole it, so he's not scared of using it. He said I didn't restore it to bloody sit around at car shows and just plod around like a granddad. He says I want to use it how it was meant to be used. Oh, it's a beauty. I've not got any pictures of the RS2000 yet. I've not been in it. I dare say I will do at one point. Because next summer he's planning on taking some to car shows, so I may well get a ride in one of them again, or be at the show with him. He's not let me drive it, but he's let me sit behind steering wheel of E-Type and start it up and rev it, and it's on one of my videos. So I've got in it and revved it and stuff. What a beast of an engine that is. Like, it's not the V12, it's one of the straight six, aren't they, I think? It's still a beast, the sound on it. Oh, I laughed because he were at a classic car show, local, and everybody were expecting, like normal E-Type owner, they just crawl out, right, it's a lot of money, take it easy with it, because somebody else has done all the restoring. And when he went out to the gate, I were in it and he just floored it, and the growl roared everywhere. Everybody on the showground just went, oh! Yeah, I think it's probably a 3.4 because it's an early Series 1. Well, it's a Series 1, the original E-Type. So I can see it being the 3.4. I've never asked him. Sounds beautiful and looks sweet. He's fully rebuilt it all. I don't think he opened up the engine. He said he started it and tuned it and that, and he said it was sweet enough. So he left the engine alone in rebuild. Yeah, I very nearly bought a V12 years ago. It was one of the biggest mistakes in my car history. It was back in 83, I think. 83 or 84. And I used to work valeting cars. I had motorbikes at the time, and they had an E-Type in the showroom, a V12, for £5,000. And I went, should I? Should I get a bank loan? Shouldn't I? And I'm like, should I? Shouldn't I? And whatever. And I thought, no, leave it. I thought it's a lot of money to get up with. And by the mid-80s, That car, I could have drawn 60 grand on it without touching it. Biggest mistake I ever made, not getting it. I know 5 grand was a lot of money back then, Mick, but 60 grand was a lot more. Back then, 60 grand would have got you about, he'd have bought you something like he'd have bought you 3 tourist houses in our area back then, in the mid-80s, because they were only drawing 30 grand by the late 90s. So you'd have easily got 3 tourist houses with 60 grand. I'd have been made if I'd have got that. If I'd have took the risk and spent the 5 grand, got a bank loan, bought it, I wouldn't have waited long before I could have sold it for 60 grand, and it'd have made me. But you make these mistakes, you sit back and go, I could have bought it. My luck, I'd have bought it, and 10 months later, it'd have been worth about quarter of the price. That's the way my luck goes, but I won't say we live and learn, because you've not got a crystal ball and you don't know future. But, geez. Another one, where I used to work. I was a Saab man at the time, and I had a Saab. I'd just got rid of one. I'd just got rid of a Saab 99. Standard 2 litre. A nice car, loved it. And where I used to work, he turned round to me, he said, we've got a lovely Saab 99 turbo in. He said it needs a couple of little bits doing. He said, if you want it, you can have it for 200 quid. And it was immaculate. He said, we've had it as a trade-in. He said, to you lads, he says, I'll lose money on it. I'll let you have it for 200 quid. And I didn't take it. I said, I'd love it for my own car, but I said, it's going to be a lot of money to insure and everything. Anyway, one of the other lads had it. And he says, oh, can you help me with it? And I went, yeah, okay. So I did the welding. He needed some welding on chassis doing. And he had his own garage in a pit. So I took my welding set up and gas and stuff. And I welded the chassis up and a couple of other spots that needed welding. I ground it out, welded it up. And he went, right, cheers, sorted. And then he had little bits of bodyworks done by, Chips Away franchise that do bodywork if you've only little patches. They're really good. And he got the little bits of bodywork done. And then he sold it. And the actual salesman come round and goes, why did you sell that car? He said, well, I made a fortune on it. He said, yeah, I could have made a fortune on it. He said, I'd give it to one of you lads to give you a nice car. And he said, right, you bastards, he says, not one of you's getting a nice car again. He said, I'm keeping them to myself. So he shot everybody in the foot, that lad. Yeah, so none of us saw a nice car after that. Because he'd always come round to you and say, do you want this? It's nice. And there were one of them, he said, do you want this car? And he were, because one lad, he were into Sierras. And he said, do you want this car? He says, well, I'm not interested in the car, but I'd like to swap the interior for my interior because it's a better interior than mine. But he said, mine's mechanically and body-wise, mine's sorted, it's mint. He said, but there's bits in interior, let it down. And he said, yeah, swap the interior on it. He said, we're only going to send it for scrap or whatever. So he swapped the interior because it had a nice interior. But yeah, you used to get them in a motor trade. Some absolute balloons there were. One lad, he weren't with ours, he worked for Peugeot. I were with Toyota then. And this lad, he was an absolute lunatic. And he was always pissing about in the car park, throwing cars about in the garage inside. He'd do donuts inside the garage, like where the vanities were, because you got silicone on the floor. He'd do donuts in between ramps and stuff. You're a loony. But if you got ones that were going to the scrapyard, you'd hear him, he'd go, burp, 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 down the street, then you'd hear, boom, at end of streets. There were concrete blocks. He used to drive them into the concrete blocks. Boom, come back. He'd drive them back up street, limping, boom, 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 boom. Back in the car, right, that one's screwed now. We were like, well, that isn't going to auctions or anything, is it? So, anybody else have any fun bits to discuss? Oh, I've driven a Mark II 1300 Sportian. One of my mates rebuilt it from one that had an engine fire on the bonnet. He rebuilt the engine, anything that was scorched on the bulkhead. He rebuilt all that. He had it cleaned up and everything, and he had it resprayed. It was gold with brown decals. The two stripes that went down and round at the back, and 1300 Sport on the back panel. Excellent valleys. I'll tell you what, that 66 I got, it should have been 160 from Hornby, and really, to be honest, that's a really good price already. But the shop I got it from had been selling it at 140 something, and that's an astounding price. And he knocked it down from that to 125, and it's sound chip and DCC. You can't go wrong for 125 quid. Especially for a local I really wanted, in the livery I wanted and the name I wanted. It was the exact local I wanted that I saw. You can't go wrong. I didn't even have to renumber it or rename it. I may still get extra plates for it. Yeah, it were Northampton Saints. Brilliant little loco. It's not my era, but it had a special memory for me when I went down to Midlands, Birmingham, and met Mick, and we went round one of the Thai fairs down there. Trying to think where it were now. Mick will probably type it up. I forgot. But yeah, I wanted it because I saw it and photographed it. I saw it and photographed it off the train I were on. I'm pretty sure it was actually. Let me look where Northampton is, because I'm sure it were actually in Northampton station. And we whizzed through, and it were a big car train full of Ford Transits of various forms. And there she was on front of it. Excellent, Ian. Awesome. You know, I'm going to have to put, well, when I'm allowed to post again, I've got a 30-day ban again. I'm bad for, I've got a blanket ban for till the 27th. That about 3 days, I think. But I've got bans from groups and etc. till 24th of December, Christmas Eve. I'm allowed back on Christmas Day. I'm working Christmas morning, so I can knock myself out Christmas Day. When I get back in, I can go on Facebook again. Oh, mate, you know, it's ridiculous. It was one of these posts they put up about stupid people and entitled people nowadays. And it was meant to be, half of them are made up posts anyway. It's not real people anyway. And it was, I expect any man I'm going out with to pay for me to have my nails done. And all I did, I put underneath, good luck with your cats, bitch. That was it. Banned. Just something, I've appealed against it. I've just said, look, it's being humorous. You're getting silly now. Just because I called her a potential cat woman. Yeah, Mick, it's getting stupid. I mean, I don't know whether Mick took offence the other night in the tavern, not Mick, Michael. I don't know why he didn't, whether he didn't come on because like that the week before when we were talking about like Chinese people being called slobs, and I were having a laugh. I weren't meaning to insult anyone, you know what I mean? I'm just humorous. If you take offence at some of the stuff, I say it's mild. There's something wrong with you when you're taking offence to some of stuff. Like these now that are taking it. Yeah, by all means, when it were downright nasty racism and downright hatred between people. But they're taking it too far at what they're getting offended at. If they're getting offended by small things like that, how are they getting through daily life? I mean, Jesus. I work in a job where I'm punched, abused, kicked, insulted. One lad I went in, he goes, "You fat, specky-eyed, fucking," he did a long list. "You fat, bald, specky-eyed bastard." And I just went, "You missed ugly." You know, I don't know how people are getting through daily life. If they were in territorials when I'd have been in, they'd have died of shock before they even did anything. Our sergeants had one motto: no lives matter. He didn't fucking like anyone. No, absolutely. Absolutely, Luke. I've got nothing against anyone. But all this PC bullshit has to stop. It's gone too far. When it were doing the intended thing, I agreed with it. But now they're trying to go, "You're not calling me by the right pronouns." So what happens when we do that? And they find the next need to mourn that. "Well, you're not doing this. Well, you're not." No, I'm not. I'm not bowing down to all your needs. Fuck off. I've had enough of your bullshit. Done absolutely mad, Ian. Luke, sorry. Absolutely crazy. Yeah. Well, I can't reply to a girl I know at the moment, and she's fruity. I have a good laugh with her. I said to her, we'll have to try and arrange a meet up while I'm off. Funny girl. I used to work with her. Down to earth girl. I open my mouth, Mick. I get glared at at work sometimes. Oh, the other day, I've not told you yet, one of the girls at work, a new girl that started. Luckily, I know her mum. And it was all a joke. But we have to do restraints and everything. And we went in to restrain. They restrained him anyway. We got to the point where we were taking belts off. And she whips it round quick and she hit me right on my plum end. And I went, "Oh," and she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And I just turned around and said, "What for? It's the nearest thing I've had to sex for 10 years. She was like, "Oh, behave." But yeah, it stung a bit. If I have to be honest, it did sting a bit. But yeah, I know her mum. She'd have laughed. She'd have scowled at me, but she'd have laughed. But yeah, it's see that now. A lot of places, if you'd have done that, you'd have been, mind you, I'm amazed I've not been in HR. But a lot of places now, they're taking people in HR for simplest of reasons, and it's it's actually risking them losing a job and being blacklisted for working if these pricks get them done. Look at these people they're throwing in jail. Some of them just for voicing an opinion near a copper. And believe me, coppers need calling. nowadays, they absolutely need calling because they're hopeless. The country's getting like Dodge City. They're not dealing with it. And if anything happens, they just give you a crime number. The problem is, years ago, they should have been dealing with the small stuff before it escalated into the big stuff. It's their inactivity over decades that are causing the problems they have now. They should have been saying, no, you're not getting away with it, you fucker, and booking them decades ago. Like I've had 2 motorcycles stolen. One of them I got back and I repaired. And my Kawasaki I got back, repaired, and I was using again. Oh, I'm sorry, it was my Kawasaki. They were stolen second time. But second time I didn't see it back. Never to be seen again. It's probably been crated up to Africa or bloody cut into pieces and sold as well. 1 or 2 of others I've never be seen again. Could be at the bottom of a canal but they're not dealing with them. And the problem is, it's not only for us, for the criminals. There were a lad locally. He was known locally. He was causing numerous problems on motorcycles. He was riding illegally, no tax, no insurance, no MOT. They knew where he lived. They were telling the police. They weren't doing anything. Never did anything for him or to him. The lad's probably lost his leg by now because he were wheeling about 60 miles an hour up the road and went head on into a car that were going into the side street. No protective gear, no motorcycle boots, no helmet, no gloves, t-shirt and jeans and trainers. And he was on a 600, I think it looked like a Suzuki Bandit. And he was just constantly provoking neighbours. They were phoning police, never touched him. So I don't put it down to him. I put it down to the cops that knew and they weren't doing anything to tackle him and put him in his place. If they'd have pulled him in his place, he'd probably still be all right now. He'd probably still be a little shit, but he'd probably still have his leg. Yeah, they'll all be getting thieved and shipping on. Are you off, Ian? Are you going, buddy? Yeah, it's I'll tell you what, George Orwell wasn't far off wrong. A lot of foresight, that guy. Yeah, fully believe you. And you're not telling me the police can't do anything. It's bullshit. All the police are now is a government money-making machine. You do 5 miles an hour over the speed limit in a legal car, they'll have you on a speed awareness course or a speeding fine within 2 seconds. They'll have no problem finding you, and they'll get the money. They'll get the money for the government. But they can't find someone who's stolen them. Even when the public are telling them he's got the motorbike in his back garden, he's stolen it and he's always riding it around. And oh, we haven't got time to go around. Well, that's your job. That's what you're taking money out of the community charge for. Your job is to solve crime. If you can't do it, get out of the way and let somebody who can. Ah, yeah, I get you. I get you, Ian. Ah, fantastic. Yeah, it is. It's a while since I've seen any episodes of The Prisoner. No. That little lotus he used to have. They're still going well. They're still sold as Caterhams. Yeah, it's mad out. You know, I used to be put off on me. I got caught when I was a young lad. I got caught a few times, and I had to be really careful for a good couple of years because I were up to 9 points or on the limit. I thought any more and I'm banned. No, they just keep driving. They go over the amount of points they meant to have for a ban, and they just keep going. There's absolutely no deterrent. Yet you call a copper for being useless and ineffective, they'll jail you, and they'll put a murderer back on the streets. How is that sane? How is there any sanity in that? I believe the people in charge now are mentally ill. There's no other way of describing it. If somebody can think it's all right releasing a murderer early so you can lock up about, I think he was 50-odd-year-old father because he called a copper. Jesus. They didn't get that during the miners' strike, and they were cobbing bricks at coppers. It's just gone ridiculous. It's just gone absolutely stupid. No allow anything now. Because they're too afraid to say boo to a ghost. Well, that's it, people. They're honest. You go out, you work hard. I worked and saved ages for that bike. I worked for it so I could have a nice bike. Paid for cash on the ad. Insured, all legal. Kept well. And then some little shithouse that hasn't worked a day in his life, hasn't passed a motorcycle test to entitle him to that bike, thinks it's his God-given right to have it, and ride around the streets doing what he wants. And they're not tackling him. Mind you, you look at some of the chiefs now that are in. When my ex-brother-in-law were a copper, the sergeant he'd have been furious at chiefs like that. Like we have now, coming in with ridiculous haircuts, stupid agendas. Agendas are meant to be for everybody, but they're looking favourably towards other groups now. That wouldn't have washed with the old coppers, the old ones in charge. My brother-in-law went in one day and all he had were a step in his hair where it weren't cut well, and his sergeant absolutely ripped a strip off him. Anyway, I'll be back in a sec. I've just got to pay a visit. Chat amongst yourselves, fellas. Oh, sorry about that, lads. My arms weren't long enough to do a glove puppet. Oh, right, where are we up to? Ours hasn't quite melted off yet. Ice cream tubs, Pearl and Dean. Ooh. Just me bald head, Andy. Hi, Andy, you alright? Noise is off. My sister, my sister's a good artist, and it's a shame she's not. She was really good when she was younger, and she never carried it on. And she actually got offered a part on Vision On, and she turned it down because she didn't want to be on telly. Dorsey bloody mare. Could have made her that. You're right, Valleys, he was. He was indeed a Gurkha officer. You wouldn't think it to look at him, would you? Man, you come to think of it, yeah, he's a definite Rupert. Yeah, he's a definite bloody Rupert, he is. He was a nice chap though, he was very good at his art and he was a very good presenter. Yeah, definite Rupert. But yeah, you could have some fun with them. Don't don't give them a map. Never forget me brother we won one time on night exercise. And he's in the back of a Land Rover with an officer on night exercise. And he's skipping head over to one side. Imp maggot bag. And the officer goes, James, what are those moving about outside? He said, the tanks, sir. He said, are they ours? He said, well, we're in shit if they're not. We've been invaded, sir. Are they ours? Well, yeah, they're our tanks. They're only playing at me and the enemy. Yeah, that's true, Valleys. Windsor Davis did Windsor Davis did a very good job interpreting that on a day and a half up. Does you think that is a really good idea, sir? Yeah, do you think that's a really good idea, sir? It's like Rolf Harris turns round to Michael Jackson. He says, Michael, can you teach me how to moonwalk? He said, yeah, all right, as long as you can teach me how to do two little bites. Right, yeah, that's another thing. I've been going through my mail because I'm pretty organised and I don't. Everything's on direct debit. I just open it up every now and again to see everything's tickety boo, and I keep getting the TV license in, threatening letters. I never watch TV. I don't possess one. Well, I do, but it's underneath my railway layout. It's not convenient for watching, and geez, it's 13-year-old now. It probably won't even work if I plug it in. It's an analog set and it needs a set-top box, and I don't possess a set-top box, so let licensing come round. They're going to go, you've got a television. Yeah, but it's analog, mate, and I don't have a set-top box. Your shout. But yeah, they're not even getting past doorstep. If they come again, they're not allowed to anyway. They're only allowed in if you give them permission, and that ain't happening. There's no point for them being here because I don't have a telly. So sling your rock out. I told them on the telephone when they phoned up, I said, I don't possess a telly. I don't watch TV. I'm not in enough to watch TV. They still persist with sending letters. It must cost them, if you work it out, they must waste £30 a year sending letters out to me. At a rough conservative guess. The person's time to put it in the envelope, typing it or whatever they do, postage cost, or everything combined, it must cost them 30 quid a year to harass a person that's told them they don't have a television. I know they are at the end of the day. They're just salespeople. And the salespeople that use threatening tactics to scare you, to sell you something. They're not enforcement officers or anything, that's bullshit. They're TV licensed salespeople. And I've just told them, no, thank you. I don't want your service. I'm not paying to an organisation that's biased newscaster. It's a propaganda, government propaganda. And they're anti-British, BBC. Like that woman that's in Boots now. When she said about the royal family, it's all terribly white on the balcony. Well, you're a minority, love. It's a white country. Would I be allowed to go to Africa and say it's a terrible black balcony? You're just being an arsehole. And I do honestly hope Boots loses a lot of money this year through that move. It's a racist commercial. Racism works both ways. Racism, sexism, whatever, it works both ways. It's not a one-way street. You can't complain about it, then do the same you're complaining about to other people. Don't work like that. Yeah, you're right with that, Ian. Fantastic, Valleys. Ah, no, you don't. You don't, Valleys. You don't. They have to prove you were watching live programs. If they don't have evidence, 99.9% of people get done and into court because they put themselves there. They cannot, unless they've come to your window and photographed you watching a program, they don't have evidence. Forget your TV detector vans, they were bullshit. It was propaganda. They had about 5 detector vans for the whole of the UK. It's just bullshit. How do you park a detector van outside an high-rise block and tell exactly who's watching television? Or in a row of terraced houses, TVs back to back with each other. How do you know which house is watching TV? They're not that sensitive. I give it, you'd probably know which. I give it the only way they knew you'd have a TV is if they saw a real on roof. It's all bullshit, and all it's ever been is demanding money with menaces. It's nothing else. They say all this shit to scare you. It's their tactics. They want to scare you and think you're doing something wrong. They have to, if they're going to go to court and sit in front of a judge, they have to have clear-cut evidence you've watched it. If you turn round when they come round and go, I've not been watching TV, and you go to court and say, I'm not guilty, I've not been watching TV. If they turn round to them, well, what evidence have you got? They can't do it on TV detector vans. That's bullshit. So the only other way would be actually seeing you, photographing you, or videoing you. But then, if they have the back to the TV, again, how do they know that that's a video? Computer game? So they'd have to have They'd also have to have, because if they take a photo with a date on, that's not enough. Because they'd have to see what programme it was, and possibly a news report what date it was. Or the only other way that they can secure a conviction they can go to court with is if you admit it. They never did work. Never have worked valleys. It's bullshit. They can't do it now. Why do you think they don't use them now? We have all this technology now and they still can't detect it. The only way they'd find out if you were watching TV is if you went on a computer and went online and watched live BBC or BBC iPlayer online, and they got your IP address and they knew you were online watching it. That's about the only way they could capture. And I don't watch it anyway because BBC shit. There's very little I want to watch on it. I don't like boots unless they're kinky. Yeah, kinky boots, bloody hell. Boots were made for walking. And that's just what they can do. No, it's standard. Valleys, it's standard. In any court of law, you have to provide evidence that somebody has committed that offence. And it has to be clear-cut evidence, not just hearsay. A lawyer would just say, well, that's hearsay. Like they did in the Johnny Depp case. That's just hearsay. If you can't do clear-cut and damning evidence, you won't win your case. They have to prove 101% and have legitimate proof that you were watching. Even if you confess, that's iffy, because they're not taping you. So it could be his word against yours, whoever comes to door. Even if you said, yeah, I've been watching it, you could turn round in court and say, no, I didn't say that. Where's his evidence? He hasn't taped you. The only way people get bugs is if they put themselves in it and not thinking about the law. He has to have 101% irrefutable evidence that you were doing what he's accusing you of. And if you sat down in a court and said, well, actually, Your Honour, I had my TV set as a monitor and I was watching a video, case screwed, no live TV. It's not, I could have 101 tellies and they could all be capable of receiving a signal. If you're not watching it, they can't do anything. It isn't, Valleys. It's never changed. It's never changed. If you go into court, they have to provide evidence. No matter what. If not, whatever. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. If they don't have evidence, clear court, they've not got a leg to stand on and the judge will throw it out. Every day of the week. No matter who they think they are. I'd be confident enough to go without a lawyer and beat them. That's the law. If they've no evidence, they're fucked. Don't blame you, Luke. There's more and more not paying it because we're being scammed by them. And we're paying for a nest of pedos, aren't we? Pedos and bloody political propaganda. That's the worst thing I did, Luke. I did pay it once or twice when I first moved in because I got letters, but I don't watch it now anyway. Like I say, my set, it's old and knackered, it's an old analogue set. So it doesn't matter a jot, I don't watch it. But the law applies. There has to be a protocol that they follow. It's like with shoplifting. You could have a TV set under one arm, stuffed up your jumper. You could have a bag of onions in your pockets, a gold watch in another pocket. You're not guilty of shoplifting until you step foot over that threshold. You can walk past the tills and go up to the door and turn back and put it all back. You can't do squat because you've not walked out of it. There's protocols, there's laws they have to follow. It's like when I worked with coppers, like patrolling streets and that. We were given lectures and stuff off coppers and on the law and stuff. And it's weird. Even if you change, say you buy it, pick a bottle up of shampoo and it's £2 and you think, I don't want to pay that. You peel the label off another one for £1. Take the £2 one off, stick it on the shelf or whatever. See, it's now labelled £1. They scan it now, so it don't work that old trick. But in the old days, when they'd put £1 on, you went and you paid and went to till and you paid. You think, oh, I'm not shoplifting. I've paid, but you're still guilty of shoplifting. They still have to wait till you go across the threshold. But you're guilty of shoplifting. And it's not shoplifting for £1. You get done for shoplifting for the whole value. So you get shoplifting of items to value of £2. Even though you've paid £1, the actual case is to the value of £2. Because they value the whole item. It's weird and complex sometimes. But no, if you're gonna go to court, you have to provide clear-cut evidence. If you ain't got evidence, you ain't got a case. It's like the legal paperwork I have to do at work. I have to do legal paperwork. Like anything I do is legal, you write down. And they drum it into us. Either write it down, or we have Palm Pilots now and everything. And they drum it into you, they say, if it isn't written down, it didn't happen. They said, so make sure you write everything down to keep your own back clear. Because it's happened with, especially we're looking after disabled people. There were one lad and he used to play people off against each other. And he'd turn round about a girl and he'd say, she didn't give me breakfast this morning. And you'd go, oh, why? Why not? And you'd be furious. But then you'd look at the book and you'd go, she's written down you declined, you said you didn't want it. And he goes, oh, yeah. But if she hadn't written it down, she wouldn't have any evidence, and that's a legal document. So that could have you in court. Trouble is, Luke, I opted out. But they don't leave it there. They come back mithering again and again. They mither you all the time. Look, just off and leave me alone. I'm not moving anywhere. I'm stopping living here. Nobody's house is going to move in. I'm not getting a TV. Go and shove your licence up your ass. And stop mithering me. Stop wasting money, time and paperwork. Because I'm not going to get a TV. I'm especially not going to watch the BBC or any of the tripe they put out. I think it's the biggest load of propaganda and shit on the television. And they make you pay for it. They force you to pay for it. At least with Sky, you have an option whether you watch them or not. Well, not whether you watch them, whether you pay them or not. They give you an option. All they say, we'll just cut your services off. %, Ian. The argument is for the BBC. You're paying for the programmes, and they say a lot of the money goes towards the infrastructure for broadcasting. But if you're getting Sky and it's coming in on a dish, it's not the BBC that's put that up there. It's private companies. So you're paying the BBC and Sky. And it's wrong. Yeah, they rob dogs now, a lot of them. They'll try and con you out of money all the time. Like, what do you call it? I did have Amazon when Grand Tour were on a bit ago. And I got a bit fed up of it, not because I didn't like them, but I would never get in time to watch it. So I thought, I'm paying for something here and I'm never using it. But so I got in touch with them and asked them to cancel it. And they kept taking it out and said, so I got in touch with my bank and said, don't pay them, cut it off. And the bank cut it off. And they were furious. They got on to me and I said, you're getting fuck all, I told you to cancel it. I said, you're getting nothing. You were told to cancel it and you carried on taking money. And they were like, I went, carry on, you're not getting anything. Anyway, they didn't get anything and they stopped mithering. Yeah, so you have nothing outside they can see anyway. But yeah, don't listen to all the TV licenses. They have no legalities behind them. They have nothing behind them. They've been sending me. I could go and get it. I've been having final notice letters for 3 years. Final notice. So they use words that'll frighten you and go, oh, I've got to get it or I'll be in court. They're stronger people than me. They'll have better lawyers. They have absolutely zilch legalities behind them. The only way you can get in trouble is if you turn round and said, well, yeah, I watched the football last week. Oh, we're at the England game. Yeah, that were on BBC. Right, you're next. But even then, like I said, they're on sketchy ground. If they haven't recorded you, or they've not had a witness, they've no ground to go into court. And you can get to court and say, when did he say that? He's a lying bastard. I didn't say anything of the sort. I told him I've never watched BBC before in my life, Your Honour. Then it's up to him to prove it. Uno one uno. Adios. To prove anything, he has to have recorded video evidence, photographic evidence. Some of them can be shaky. And he'd need a witness. Otherwise, it's just he said, she said, hearsay for a courtroom. I'd have just turned round and said, I couldn't possibly have been watching live TV, Your Honour. I haven't got a set-top box, and it's an analogue TV. Stitch that, you bastard. Because mine's an old analog. I don't think it'll work now if I plugged it in. Last time I plugged it in 3 years ago, it just whistled. I think the picture was coming up, but I think it was still Buster Keaton on it. You know, I'm just one house, Ian. How much paper are they sending out to the whole of the UK? Well, just this estate. I'll go behind my door now, because I went through one before. Give me 1 second, and I'll show you the language they use. Here's the latest one they're trying on me. Lot of bullshit. Dear legal occupier, means nothing. Without a name on there, you can't do shit. That means nothing, legal occupier. 10-day window to get correctly licensed. They just threat letters and hoping you'll pay. That means absolutely nothing in a legal court. They're not even sending me letters in my own name now. They're sending legal occupier. A judge would just fucking laugh at that. You probably can't now, Ian, it's all built in. But then I don't have one of them sets and I don't have a set-top box. So it's irrelevant. I've not got any equipment that can receive TV. But how much money a year is that costing them? Because I get at least 3 a month. 2 or 3 a month. Well, maybe less, but I get them regular. So how much does that? See, it's only 50p a letter. Rough idea. Say it's 50p a letter. On me, say it's one letter at 50 pence a month. So 2 months, it's £1. It's costing them £6 just for the price of the letter before you paying people's wages, paying electricity for them to sit there, paying for them typing them out, paying. By the time they finish, it's probably a tenner a year. Times that over the whole country of all the people that are getting them, how much money they are spent. They're probably spending just as much as they're getting in. Well, no, that's probably an exaggeration. But the manpower and the messing about, they could spend the time on providing good programmes. Because the BBC's gone to pot with shit that people don't want to watch. Homes Under the Hammer, what sort of shit is that? It's shit in the first place, then they repeat it on about 3 different channels. And get this, the BBC are meant to be non-advertising, but they fund channels, other channels that do advertise, and you're paying towards that channel with your money, and they're putting adverts on it as well. So they're a bent organisation. They're the biggest crooks in the country. You're 100% right there, Ian. One of my friends the other night, I recommended, have you ever watched his channel, that restorer called The Fabric? He's a French guy, he's called The Fabric. What fantastic videos he does. And there's a couple of others as well. I forget another guy's name. He's another continental. And they get random items like they'll get a projector or they'll get a bread cutting when they're dilapidated, and they'll restore them as new. They'll powder coat them, they'll re-chrome them, they'll polish them, they'll reproduce the company stickers to go on them. And they're beautiful items when they're finished. And it's far better quality than the shit the BBC are putting out. It's really entertaining viewing. I can't watch any of the shit the BBC because half of it's woke bullshit, half of it's irrelevant. Programmes I like, Top Gear's gone. Formula One went. BBC used to be the ones that had Formula One, and it were good back in the day when you had Murray Walker and James Hunt. I think James Hunt were on it when the BBC still had it. And they lost Formula One. They've lost so many things, the BBC. And they just keep the shit. Another one, they got rid of Sue Barker on A Question of Sport. She was a tremendous presenter. She was knowledgeable because she was a top sportswoman in a day. She was fantastic at presenting. And then you get some other shit add on. Like the banter with Emily News and... Well, that's it. They've lost Question of Sport, haven't they? But the banter they had between Bill Beaumont and Emily News, like, you were just... Years ago, all the sitcoms, the BBC couldn't go wrong with sitcoms. Now, I think they have one not going out that's half decent. We've had to import another from Ireland, BBC. We've got Mrs. Brown's Boys. Well, whether it's imported, made or what, I don't know. But the BBC just isn't there with sitcoms anymore. You're just paying money for shit. All the other channels have cherry-picked all the good stuff. The BBC News, I'll give you the exact time where I stopped believing anything the BBC News told me. They're liars and they broadcast their own agenda. The BBC, it's propaganda. Because I watched The Morning After, and this was the exact point I said. It's bullshit. They broadcast what they want to, not what's in the public interest. Because I watched The Morning After the Brexit vote. Now, it doesn't matter whether you voted to stop in or get out. The thing was, all that fuss, they tried overriding, and the BBC were a big culprit in it. They tried overruling a democratic decision. It doesn't matter whether you disagreed with it or agreed with it. The fact was, they were happy to take your democratic vote off you. And you've got to think, if they'll do it on that once, what's the next thing? What they're doing now, taking freedoms, gradually more and more freedoms off you. And that's what they're doing. And that's where it started. Because I watched the day after Brexit. And this is how heavily the BBC are implicated. What were her name? Louise Minchin. They had Brexiteers on one side. There were three of them. 3 or 4 on each side. One were Brexiteers and one were Remainers. And she went and interviewed the Remainers. And they gave all their opinions on why they wanted to stop in the EU. She talked at length to all 3 of them. And they all got their voice and all got their opinions. Then she said, right, we'll go over to the Brexiters. They had 2 more Remainers on the Brexiters' side, so they gave more Remain points of view. And they had a schoolboy that weren't even allowed to vote, and he said, oh, I'd have remained in. And then at the end, the chaps that did vote to leave tried getting his voice, and she said, oh, we're running out of time, we're going to have to go back to the studio. And cut him off like that. And the day, what backed it up further, the day when we actually left, you had all the people who had made Brexit happen. They were giving a rally and a talk in Westminster. It was the news story of the day. It was the big news story of the day we left the EU, and he had all the top names there that campaigned and made it happen. And the BBC didn't broadcast any of it. And they went round to the UK asking Remainers why they thought we should have stayed in. That's not a news station with a public's interest. That is a propaganda machine. They're only giving... In fact, I'd go worse than that. It's a fascist regime. Because they only want their voice. They don't want the voice of the majority that actually voted and wanted it. They don't want them to have their voice. That sounds cool, Ian, the salvagers. I used to like that salvage squad where they got different vehicles and stuff. That salvage squad were brilliant. With that black lad in, Axel, he were good. Jesus. It isn't impartial, it's far from it, Ian. You know, I like that repair shop, but you know, they weren't, considering it's a main TV station and it's one of the main programmes, their actual restorations were very poor. I watched a Tonka. A guy, he repaired a Tonka. Tonka Winnebago, the big one they did. And he restored it. And he didn't do it the proper colour. He used, well, he didn't finish it off. There were parts he could have got from America. They were available parts, and he didn't put them on. And I thought, it's an half-assed restoration. He didn't do half the stuff we'd have done to them. And another one I watched the other week. Last week, I think, in a repair shop. There were a guy, he had, the old World War II aircraft, the Whittle. The old airmen used to whittle them out of wood. And they'd make their own aircraft to take home to gift to the kids and that. And this guy he definitely got his history mixed up. And for BBC to put it out, they should have had the knowledge to turn round and say, well, no, that's not what he said it was. It's this. He told them, I was told it was a Spitfire. And they should have the knowledge to say, no, that you looked at it and it was clearly a USAF Thunderbolt. And it were in British markings. Now, I get a feeling that his relatives, although he were British, they probably served with the Yanks during the war. With them that did Thunderbolt. But the Thunderbolt's absolutely nothing like a Spitfire. It has the Spitfire's sleek at the front. And this model the guy had made had the cowling for a row. What they called a radial. It was a round engine fairing for a radial. The Spitfires is smooth for an inline engine. So it was totally different. The tail fin were the same shape as a Thunderbolt. The wings were. And he said, no, it were a Spitfire. And I went, sorry, it isn't. Whoever's carved that, it's meant to be a Thunderbolt. Yeah, he was another one, Mick. Suggs was a very good presenter. Very surprising for a pop star, but he was a very interesting presenter. I could watch him, he was good. Suggs, what was the name of that girl? She was a plain Doris, but you'd have dated her. She were all right. Didn't mind getting a man's hands mucky on cars, you'd have dated her. I can't think of her name now. She was very knowledgeable, really good. She were a proper petrol head and engineering head. She knew her stuff. Very interesting. Like you watch telly now and the restorations, they're not that I watch them, they're not that knowledgeable. I mean, I don't think I've said it here, Mick, but do you remember? And I don't think Luke's been on for that rival one, but one of the TV guys, the antiques expert, allegedly, he has his own channel, and he put a video on about Matchbox cars. He says, I bought a job lot of Matchbox cars, and he's going through them. He's going, this one's worth £70, this one's worth £80. If you get something unusual, you could have something that's worth £1,000. And I put on, I says, look, you're talking bullshit. You don't know what you're on about. Stick to your flower pots. I said, because you've not a clue what you're talking about. He said, this Mustang, the Luke will know it and Mick will know. Well, anybody that's into die casts, the Matchbox white Mustang with a lever that steered the front wheels. Its window unit was smashed, half of the paint missing, and he went, it's worth £10 that. I said, it's not even worth a quid that. I said, you wouldn't even pay a tenner for one that were complete with damaged paint for restoration. I said, so that's not worth a tenner. I said, you're dreaming about your prices. I said, and he were really pissed off because I said, it's a load of shit. It's worth what you give for it. And it really pissed. But he were an alleged TV antiques expert. He's never been near a die-cast swap. Never been near a toy fair. He don't know his arse from his elbow. And he's telling people that know him off TV that these cars are worth thousands. And that's why you've got stupid prices on them now. On eBay, people asking like 50 and 60 quid for wreckers that are unboxed. Really? Don't be a tear, I won't give you that in a month of Sundays. Well, the problem is they may just get some gullible tit that'll pay it. Good evening, Ron Lines. Good to have you along. I'm chatting shit at the moment, so I'm just popping my head in to see what people are discussing. If there's out you want to discuss, Ron, and stop me papping on about shit. Claire, got it in one. That's it, Mick. I wondered what you meant then by Claire. Yes, she were called Claire, weren't she? Very knowledgeable woman. And very good mechanic, too. I'd have let her work on my gear. Hang on, that just doesn't sound right, does it? I'll let her work on the engine. I know that doesn't sound right. I'd let her change me big head. No. Wait a minute. There's just no way it's going to get any better, is there? Oh, have you been to the NEC show? Is this the one there were a lot of kerfuffle last year, weren't there? Ron Lines. About, but haven't they decided to do the show? I don't know. There were a lot of kerfuffle that the NEC were going to be the big show when these had give up doing it, and there were a lot of kerfuffle last year. That's it. That's what I was thinking. So has Wally been replaced then, Ron Lines? Sounding like that, you're saying they have replaced it. I never ever went to Wally, you know. I suppose it's good for them that like it, but my head gets fried if the venue's too big and there's too much to see. It's not an enjoyable show for me. I like smaller, intimate views where you can smaller, intimate like exhibitions where you can take your time and look at the layouts and watch what they're doing and take your time and go around the stalls. Maybe when I was younger, but I'm too old to rush around that shit now in a day. I just like small intimate venues where I can take my time, drink in somebody's work. Because when you go to these big places, you don't take time to appreciate the layouts. You just pass them and go, yep, 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 yep. In it, and you must miss so much. Because one venue I went to, they had a little Z gauge American layout. Well, it wasn't little, it were a big Z gauge American layout. And because it was a big layout with a small scale, they could get depth into it, and you could get perspectives looking from tree lines, and if you got down, you were like you were there. It were a fantastic layout. They used the big space and small scale to give depth to it and make you feel like you were there. If you pop your head down, it worked fantastic. It is, Mickey. But the worst part is, he hasn't a clue what he's on about. He just likes the sound of his own voice, and yet I'm a star on the BBC. He's clueless. He's an arsehole. I have my own antique shop. I put them in my antique shop for £50. Yeah, but do you not think they've bought them because you're a celebrity and they can say, I've been to his shop and I've bought an antique off him? I mean, I'd just look at him and say, you prick, I could have sold you one of them for a... You prick, I'd have sold you one for £3 and made money. I mean, let's be honest, I'm looking at prices now. And for stuff I've bought, I'm scared now how much I've got. Geez, not fun. Fair distance to go to Southampton from Birmingham. But that's the thing I'm saying, Ron. In these massive venues, you've just admitted yourself. No, you've said it was a rush to get round. You're rushing. You're not taking your time to enjoy them layouts. You just, yeah, that's that one. Yeah, that's that one. You see them, but you don't. It's like I say about painting. An average person looks up to the sky and sees a blue sky. An artist will look at that sky. He'll see ultramarine blue, phthalo blues. He'll see greens. He'll see yellows. He'll see reds. He'll see all the faint hues of colour. But the non-artist will just go, it's blue. And that's the difference between being in a big place and being in rushed. And being in a nice, small, intimate venue where you can take time to have a look at the layout, see how they run them. Ask how they did this. Ask how they did that. And it's more friendly, it's more relaxed. I just don't like the big venues. Catch you Friday, Luke. Good seeing you and having along for support, Luke. Take care, buddy. Yeah, you'd probably need 2 days to see it better. But even then, I bet you wouldn't get the level of enjoyment you'd get out of a smaller venue and the time you take and everything. Because you can stop and have a chat. If you get a layout you're interested in there, you can stop and have a chat for a while and without going, oh, I want to make it onto this next layout. 60 layouts, see, look at it, 60 layouts. Say you were there for 5 hours, give or take. You may have been less, may have been more. But on average, say 5 hours, there's 60 layouts. So you can only give, say, what? 60 layouts. You can only give just under 5 minutes to each. Is that right? And my maths failing me. 60 divided, hang on. Get the calculator down. Well, I can't guess, but you're not getting a lot of time on each layout. Well, 60 layouts, if you were there an hour, yeah, it's a minute. If you were there an hour, it's a minute, each layout. So if you were there 5 hours, it's 5 minutes. So you're having 5 minutes on that, each layout, before you even get to the trade stands. So if you did 10 hours, you'd take it up to 10 minutes a layout, but then you have to bring that down because you'll do trade stands. You'll have something to eat while you're there. You'll probably take time to photograph. I don't know what video. I do YouTube, so I'll take a camera and photograph and video and do a little video for my channel if I go to an exhibition. Last one I went to was a lovely little exhibition. Went to Lee Model Railway exhibition, and it were a beautiful mix of layouts. Jenny Kirk were there. I had a quick chat to her. I had a quick chat, and what's his name's not. I mean, I never do anything personal. Anything I say isn't personal to anyone. I'm not that sort of person. But what's the name of? Oh, what's his name? The friend that goes round, big lad with a bike to Jenny's. I can't think of his name offhand. I don't dislike the lad, but we disagree with each other. Because I were on his channel, and he were aimed at me and people like me that say what they think about Hornby. And I said about Sam's Trains, I said, he's the only reviewer I trust on YouTube. And they're like, oh, why? He was like that. He threw a reel. He threw his dummy. He had to do a video about it because I was vocal about it. But I said, listen, if you're going to the factory, I said, if you're getting any sort of sweetener off the factory, I said, it doesn't have to be free locals. It doesn't have to be free rolling stock. If you're getting given inside knowledge and everything, and you're getting products off the factory to review for the channel, it doesn't matter whether you're paying for them or not, you've started to be in that company's pocket. And he's like, no, I'm not, I'm impartial. I said, you can't be. Once you get them links with a factory, you can no longer be impartial. And that's why I trust Sam's more. He pays his own money and he doesn't take them off the factory. So ergo, he can say what he wants. As long as it's truthful and his opinion, he can say what he wants. He hasn't got somebody at the factory. And I know this is what's going on. Excuse me. I know this is what's going on. Because I know a friend that has a YouTube channel for Earthix. And they turned round to him at the Earthix channel, at the Earthix factory, and said, you will say nice things on your channel about us. So already that's corrupted a review. It's not free and impartial. That's why if they have any links back to the factory, I straight away switch the review off. Whether it's, I don't dislike the people, some of the channels I like and that, but Jenny, the other lad, I can't think of his name anymore, but all these that go to the factory, get samples to test, get this, you have links with the factory, you can no longer be an impartial reviewer. And if they say they can, they're bullshitting you. They're trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I'm sorry, they may not be getting freebies, and they may not be getting paid. But if you're being given information to forward your channel, and I've got the latest news, and the latest news from the factory is, that's factory advertising. You've taken the factory's coin. Catch you later, mate. Good to have you along, buddy. Catch you during week. Iron Horse Ron, that's correct. He's called Craig, isn't he? I seem to remember. I like him. He's a nice lad. He's another biker. I'm a biker, but I don't care what you say. Once you've got factory links and they're starting giving you information and that, you're in cahoots with them. No matter what you think you're giving an impartial review, but you can no longer be fully impartial. Because I know somebody who does it with Earthix, still Hornby Hobbies. It's still all the same group. And he was told on a factory visit, you will say nice things on your channel about us, won't you? And that was by one of the guys at factory. So, I mean, you can say things other people have noticed and then say stuff, but Yeah, it is for onlines. A lot of them though. I was talking with one. It's unfair to say who it was, but there's a lot of bad blood in the retail sector towards Army through what they did to them with TT. It won't be forgotten. They're struggling on the high street and they cut off what could have been a main earner for them last year. In fact, Hornby could have been even further forward now with that, and they decided to cut the retailer out. What sort of stupidity is that, cutting off your main street thing where you get like your online presence? You'll get the people who are already in the hobby, the people who are intending to do the hobby, but you won't get accidental browsers. Because how do you if you're not even looking for a model railway, how do you accidentally type in model railway suppliers? You type in like computer games. So they've lost just the like random sales where somebody had gone in the shop looking at something else and thought, well, that looks good. I wonder if I'd be any good at that. And trying that. That looks nice up there. I'll give that a go. I think Hornby have some well, over the last few years, they've had some very stupid people in charge. Who on earth can convince them to do that steampunk range? That was shy. And if it had been done proper and good, it could have been a winner. I doubt it, but it could have been. I think it was the wrong thing to be doing, but I mean, some of the things they missed out on. They've done night mail sets and stuff. But I mean, one I think could sell, and it's time now to. A lot of water's gone under the bridge. Well, why don't they do a great train robbery train set? Not worshipping them with zeros or anything. And then the next railway men and railway, yeah, you have the argument a railway man were injured. Then you shouldn't really do crime, but it's a big part of railway history. No. And what'd be nicer than a class 40 with a Royal Mail rake behind it? Green local and maroon carriages. I'd buy it. Green class 40 and maroon carriages. I've written their hand off for that set. Or even a lot of cities now. There's another company that does it. But why don't Hornby concentrate on trams now? Because they're like railway networks now. Like the Metrolink in my area. You've got Edinburgh has one. Most major towns now have the tram system. You know, Hornby were a very Hornby were a very smart company when they were run by people that had brains. And they're releasing too much. They concentrate on everything having to be identical to the prototype, it has to be exhibition standard. They were never like that. Hornby back in the day, after it was Triang, well, actually, technically, it still is Triang. After many sales and everything, it was Triang that got Hornby for the Hornby name, and they sold the die-cast stuff onto Wren. But like the Meccano die-cast Hornby, Wren released them. But what Hornby did in the late 60s, 70s, early 80s, they were very smart. It was a very smart thing they did. Because they got the locals looking, how do you say it? They had the locals looking as near prototype as they could get them, but using parts off each other. So they had a smaller parts bin. Clever thinking in engineering. You're not making millions of individual parts. Ford cars used to do it. They'd use parts in loads of different models, as long as it did the job. Now, if you did exhibition standard and you wanted to take it past the fun layout that you have in your home, if you wanted to take it past that, you made your own track, EM gauge or whatever. You got new wheels for it, give it a better gauge. Made it proper, you detailed the law codes up. You spent time on it modelling. You actually accrued modelling skills. Now it's just shaken out the box and on the layout. But they want it to exhibition standard. Straight out of the box. Which, yeah, I'm not arguing. They're beautiful looking locos. But they're not good quality. The exhibition locos were made from kits in most instances or altered, and they weren't reliable. I'm not saying they weren't good engineering. They were a good engineering and good modelling, but they weren't reliable because they made them too intricate. They made them too fragile. And what people need to remember is, for an home layout, you're running it and they're going to need servicing. And these new locos, unless you're very, very dexterous, very small fingers, very clued up on mechanics and electricals, it ain't happening. You're not servicing it at home, you're taking it to a specialist and you're paying that specialist tag. Anything they need doing, it's not easy. I'm not denying they're nice. I bought one or two, I don't buy a lot because I prefer the older stuff. You can service it, run it, alter it. Like, lot nicer, but I don't know. It's you pays your money, you take your chance, but we're getting 500 quid law course now. And I think you've got to be crazy to be buying 500 quid law course. There's got to be something up with you upstairs. Especially because Army probably aren't even paying 100 quid for them from China. If they're paying over 100 quid, they're doing something wrong per unit from China. You know, I love seeing that at exhibitions, you know, Ron. And it should be. It should be kid friendly. A lot of the bigger ones and with the more detailed ones should be more friendly with kids, and it's not. See, the expense that's involved now, it's astronomical expense. Like I say, 500 quid for a law course. You don't want anyone to go near that. Whereas in olden days, you'd still be pissed somebody knocked something over, but you'd repair it yourself. And I don't know, it's becoming every year you go on, more and more a rich man's thing. It used to be, I mean, you go back to 60s and 70s, it were a family thing. A lot of kids got them that weren't even interested in them, really. They'd play on the carpet in the living room for a few months. But they'd enjoy it. It was the train set were cheap, and it were a taster to get them into it. See, if they liked it, they'd probably buy a bigger board, then expand to a bigger board, then bigger. But I don't know, now anybody going in with kids, going into a model railway shop, and they're presented with a case, which is normally the case. You go into the model shop and some of the first things you see are the locos in cases, and you don't look down the line. As a parent, you look down the line of them locos, and you're seeing 300, 400, 500, 250. And they're going, the parents must look at that and think, fucking hell, it's a bottomless pit, this. Now they're taking the piss. Come on, we'll get your computer game in a couple of we'll get your computer in a couple of games. You look at it, a parent goes in and they look down the line at a loco, and they'll have been to exhibitions with kids, and they'll go, right, well, we have 4 or 5 locos on. Even if it's 250 quid, you're over a bag of sand there. So they'll think, well, sure, I can afford a computer and train sim for that, and he can sit at a desk. We don't have to provide him with room for a layout. He can sit at a desk, he can play driving trains, constructing them, he can be any era, decade he wants, whatever. He can change it at a whim to where he wants, when. No contest. Yeah, but the trouble is, Ron, so yeah, they are doing very well. The generation that got up in the 70s, in the late 60s, 70s, they're my age and retiring now. We're not going to last forever. and you've got to draw new blood in at the bottom. And we're the generation that have a lot of disposable money that are paying for them. Like I said, I paid over £100 last month for a loco. It's not a great deal in the scheme of things, but it's still money I'm putting into the hobby. But say I pop me clothes next week, that's £100 they won't get next year or next month or whatever. Times that by people my age that fall off the perch round the country. How many £100? 500. Some people spend £500 a month, buy a local a month or whatever, with enough disposable income. Channel that down. If you're not starting that new blood up and getting them into having layouts and into buying regular and everything, there's only one way it's going to go. Yes, you may well be selling well this week, but you've to look at the future when we die off. It's a selfish way of thinking where they really need. I don't want to have the railroad range, but they really need to cater towards that end better. See, they could have done a better, cheaper railroad range, but they decided to introduce an obscure scale at mid-range quality or whatever you want. So, I don't know the game we are on. But the biggest mistake Hornby ever made, in my opinion, is when Lima introduced British HO, which were HO trains on the HO track. So they were already properly, well, as near as damn it, properly scaled. It was near as damn it a proper gauge for the proper scale, which they look more proportioned. Lima had a cracking idea there, and Hornby still plodded on with a bastard scale. Why Hornby didn't say, sod it, will make stuff to their size. HO, they'd have been on a winner. Because it'd have been proper scale and gauge near as damn it. But no, Hornby just head in the sand and carry on with the double O gauge trains on HO track. Jesus, don't be telling me that, Ian. I've got about 150 pre-loved locos. Which, mentioning that, while I'm on holiday, I better get on with some track laying on my layout. I know what I want to do with it, roughly, just I'm not getting round to it. I really need to. Now we're getting into winter, I need to be doing stuff on it. I think I'll go down and get 2 rolls of wiring for my points, start wiring my points in, laying the track down to the back, and then I can push that back and that's that bit done then. and then I can just work from the front of the layout. Because I'm designing the rear timescape to be lifted off, and I can put on the floor or whatever and work on it, and lift it back up and put it on. It's going to be made in 1, 2, let's see, about 3 sections. I'll make it in, perhaps. See where I'm going with it. Because I have a 5-foot centre section and then 5 foot on each end, making 15 foot in length. So I'm having a town across the back. And then I might have a station coming out just at one end. So you just have, it's not an actual station, it's just going to be a platform end with a station on the bridge leading down onto the platform, and a bridge over the top with possibly a car running drop-off point. But it's going to have a middle and 2 end parts. It's going to have a bridge at each end, so it leads under and into the back. And I think I might have a small engine shed or motive power depot. And I think a scrapyard's going to be in order. Scrapyard or something industrial I can use little 040 industrials on, and they can have an exchange area where BR picks stuff up to take onto the main railway. Should be entertaining. And I think I might try. There's other people do it, but offer something different. I might make scrap loads and resin cast them for wagons and stuff. Because I know how to do resin casting, it's a dod. Make me own moulds and stuff. Anyway, coming up to 2 hours and 40 minutes now, and it's flown past like. So I was going to say, tatty bye, folks. As ever, it's been a pleasure. I'll keep my eye out. For those that don't know before, Ian is a superb chap. For the model railway guys that don't know, he's well known in the die-cast community. He's got an heart of gold and he helps us all out tremendously. He's sending me out an earn aid package, and the other way, let's see if I can find him. I think this is him here. Yeah, there we go. I mentioned I used to drink Cresta. I've still to get a photo frame for this. But I mentioned I loved Cresta and the polar bear, the adverts for it. And he actually sent us out the Cresta adverts. Fantastic. And a Cresta advert. That's an absolute doozy. That's fantastic. That is going in a frame. And I'm going to say it. It's as cool as polar bear's piss. Fantastic, that is. Or as cool as penguin's piss is another one. But yeah, I couldn't believe he sent me that. I love it. Yeah, it's lovely, Ian. You're a great guy in the diecast scene. You deserve shout outs. We're all so grateful at what you do for us. And I'm convinced you've done a creative writing course. If you haven't, you went to a better school than I did. That's not hard. But some of the stuff, you got just that little bit you do for the channel, what Paul puts up, you do creative writing for him. That's if any of you railway guys don't know it. If you ever want to pop in, the DMC, they have a use. I've been part of it since early days. But they have a YouTube channel and they have a Facebook page. And we have a get together Friday night in the tavern. You have to be thick skinned and put up with swearing. Some of them, bless them, there's a religious lad, Tony. He's salt of the earth, he's a lovely chap. But when swearing starts, he goes, "Ooh, time for me to go." Bless him. Fantastic. Lovely seeing you giving your mum the credit, Ian. Too many women don't get credit for it, what they did for us. Tatty pie, Andy. Yeah. Cleaning wheels can be a real bitch. I ain't gonna lie. Anyway, tatty pie, everyone. Take care and have a good week. And depending on what happens next week, I may be on and I may not. See how things pan out. But in the meantime, tatty pie, everyone. Tatty pie. Shit, oh, there we go. Now wait to the delay. There we go. And we're off. When it makes up its mind. 5, 4, 3, 2,